Neither the Tibetans cramped in the back of a truck, nor the mountain climbers comfortable in their luxury vehicles, knew that their very different journeys would soon collide at the same compass point, on a Himalayan mountain pass. For centuries in the shadow of Mount Cho Oyu, yak caravans have lumbered up and down the Nangpa Pass, trading between Tibet and Nepal. A popular escape route for illegal refugees, the pass has become a hotspot for Chinese border security.
I think the first thing that hit me was how Tibetan people eked out a pastoral living on this land. It's just rock and dust.
The Chinese economic miracle has brought little benefit to ordinary Tibetans. For the mountaineers, the small town of Nyalam was their first chance to stop and see Tibet for themselves.
I didn't know that Nyalam means Hell's Gate, but to me right then, looked exactly like its name, forsaken land. The gods forgot about their people.
Their next stop was the frontier town of Tingri.
Because Tingri is the last turn up towards the border, Chinese military are everywhere. The biggest thing that they try to watch over and control are the Western climbers that come through. Climbers are dangerous to them because we go places that a regular tourist doesn't go. We go through villages and we talk to people, so the level of control that's placed upon us when we go in and when we come out, I feel is tremendously elevated.
The truck was driving across country, sometimes on riverbanks, through forests and back roads.
On their third night on the road, the Tibetans' truck just stopped. From here on, they would struggle through wild terrain, dodging Chinese border police for the next 10 days.
The Cho Oyu Advanced Base Camp is quite a long, narrow camp. Everybody's in a long line rather than in a big circle or square. We were towards the top end of the camp.
It's a hodgepodge, it's a confetti of colours, all different shapes and sizes of tents. It always reminds me a bit of something out of Star Wars, where all the traders, all people just come and congregate. And of course, in amongst all the tents are flags of different countries, there's flags of sponsors, there's music playing, there's cooking, there's everything. There's every nation that you can imagine is there.
I noticed the Chinese Advanced Base Camp tent and flag, and me as a Romanian, I had a Romanian flag with me, but I didn't just pop it out there. You know, you're in Tibet, you gotta have a bit of respect for their own country. But the Chinese just got this big stick out of nowhere, and they just put their flag up there and said, what if we go overnight and take the flag off? And they all went, no, don't do that, don't do it.
At first, we hiked through green grasslands.
Sometimes we walked all day and all night, and sometimes we even kept going, walking right through the next day too.
Ill-equipped for altitude and with their food supplies already dwindling, the Tibetans trudged higher. They had no idea how many more days their march would take. A few days' walk away and high above on Mount Cho Oyu at 6,400 meters, Sergiu Matai faced his own terrifying ordeal. with altitude sickness. As Sergiu pushed uphill, he kept on filming, even as his lungs congested with fluid.
I was just relaxing myself and enjoying the beautiful views. But meanwhile, a pulmonary edema started growing within my lung.
And then he started to hallucinate.
The snow around me started to turn green. And I didn't know why. I said, if the snow is green, they should have cows here as well, you know.
Sergiu wasn't alone. English policeman Steve Laws suffered the same life-threatening condition.
I started to get a headache. It just got worse and worse and worse. And I took paracetamol, basic painkillers, didn't do it.
And all of a sudden I just lost my sight. It just went black, pitch black. But all I knew was that I have to go down no matter what.
Neither Sergiu nor Steve would make the summit. They were forced to turn back to base camp.
Trip was over. I was absolutely gutted. 2 years in the planning, all the training, and it was all over. I went off and sat in a tent, had a little cry.
Both Sergiu and Steve remained in base camp as logistic support for other team members still trying to scale the mountain. Being grounded in camp would later throw them into the spotlight. As the climbing season drew to a close, the mountain was plagued by bad weather. For days on end, blizzards kept the climbers huddled inside their tents, delaying their last chance to make a bid for the summit.
One of the worst storms I've seen on Choyu. I think mountains smack down climbers when something on the hill is just not right. You know, I kind of got to looking around thinking, wow, somebody must be misbehaving this year because this is a big, big storm.
Below the snow line, the Tibetans kept a constant lookout for Chinese patrols.
The guide said that the Nangpa Pass was very close. If we walked all night, we should get there by morning. But there were Chinese patrols in the area. So we decided to rest till dark. Everyone put in their last scraps of food and we made a very thin soup. Around 7 p.m. we got up and headed for the pass. We were very afraid of snow blindness and of course of frostbite. I tied my shoelaces up very tightly just to keep my feet warm.
Close to the Nepalese border, the illegal escapees were spotted. The Chinese border police sent in a well-armed convoy to apprehend them. By the morning of September the 30th, the storms had cleared. This was the climbers' last chance to go for the summit.
I remember being excited like I always am for summit pushes.